Unfortunately, this is how this story ends.
It was just a comedy of errors, pretty much.
Two rotted ships on the eve of destruction.
Sometimes you can bite off more than you could chew.
Ships that were met with a grand reception 22 years ago, but now wait for their death.
Did Corpus Christi drop the ball on this one?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The ships were built in Spain to celebrate the 500th anniversary of Columbus's voyage to the New World, built with the same wood, the same materials, and the same methods that were used for the original ones back in the 15th century. They came here in 1992 and received such a great reception that Spain chose Corpus Christi as the ship's home. The replicas were sold to a small group of residents called the Columbus Fleet Association.
They hadn't thought it out. They didn't have a plan. They just wanted the ships.
Nelita Ortiz was part of that association in its final days. She says as soon as that group got the ships, everything started to go downhill.
And they didn't think about what it would take to maintain the ships. They didn't have anyone that in the group that knew what to do with the ships, judging by the way they acted.
The plan was to let residents sail on the ships for a fee, and the revenue would fund maintenance. But the planned boat rides never really happened. Then, on a foggy night in 1994, a barge struck the Pinta in the Santa Maria. And this is where the city enters the story, proposing that a $2.9 million shipyard be built at the Science Museum where anyone could come and watch the ships get fixed. Taxpayers footed the bill through a bond, and the original architect who designed the replicas, Francisco Monsalvete, came out to do the work.
Fui con 6 carpinteros de Rivera.
I went with 6 carpenters, the same guys who built them.
Ahí,
We were there a year repairing the ships, and we left them in good condition.
Monsalvete went back to Spain, hoping the ships would be returned to the water. But when the Columbus Fleet Association couldn't pay off the debt from purchasing the ships, or pay for the shipyard taxpayers were supposed to get reimbursed for, the group went under, and the city took control of the replicas. Thinking it would make for a good tourist attraction, the city kept the ships here in the dry shipyard and maintained them out in the open, where museum goers could come and watch.
Fue una idea malísima.
It was a terrible idea. The boats were built to navigate, and their best place to be is in the water.
Porque además el agua salada los conserva infinitamente mejor.
The salt water preserves them infinitely better than if they were not in the salt water.
The city did it anyway and hired several full-time carpenters to maintain the ships. In the beginning, they were occasionally sprayed with salt water. But over the years, people lost interest in the exhibit, and the condition of the ships got worse every day.
My understanding was it was really a display. It was for the public, and they would do their best to keep them up while they were dry docked.
Museum director Carol Reitmeyer took over a couple years ago and immediately realized the exhibit wasn't really working out, especially after some of the workers were caught sleeping on the job. They were let go, and that brings us to present, as the ships just sit there, dry docked and rotting.
These are indeed 25 years old, so they've certainly long outlived the natural life of a boat.
And that's what the city will tell you, that the ships were never meant to last more than 10 years. That the humidity in South Texas makes it hard to maintain them.
It's hard to look after something that wasn't designed to last forever and ever.
Basically, the city says it did just as well as anyone would have done. Monsalvete begs to differ. These are photos of replica ships in Spain that are 2 years older than ours, made the exact same way with the exact same materials.
Estos barcos están en un museo, pero en el agua.
These boats are in a museum, but in the water, and they have adequate maintenance, and the boats have been there since then, and they are in perfect shape.
As for the city's argument about climate,
Es más difícil seguramente conservarlo en climas muy fríos.
It's actually harder to preserve a boat in the Arctic where the wood might freeze and crack, but in the warm tropical climates they can be preserved well.
And while Monsalvete lives in Spain, he did get to see his creation one last time several years ago when he visited. Of course, the sight of his ships in that condition was hard to bear.
Me ha dado mucha pena.
It makes me sad. I hate to see richness destroyed, and especially when I've contributed to something. It makes me even more sad.
Me produce más pena.
It made me very sad to see the boats like that.
Monsalvete asked us for one favor, if we could save one of the nails on the replicas for him. He says they made them special in Spain. Now, we've gotten with the museum, and they'll get with the demolishers, see if we can save one of those nails for him before the ships are destroyed. Andrew Ellison, Chris 6 News.